Hey there, welcome to another episode of Fans in Ocean, the Osage. All right, let's test that one out again. Hey there, everyone, welcome to another episode of Fans in Motion, the ultimate Night Ranger podcast. Joining me, as always, Borderman, Dave Nadelman. Dave is in an undisclosed location, staying at the Bedbug Inn, I think.
A little better than that.
So this week, me and Dave were talking and, putting some ideas together. And we decided, hey, let's do an episode where we pick five essential Night Ranger songs. So we got to talking and we came up with a scenario. Okay, we meet somebody, we give them Night Ranger's greatest hits. They're like, dude, that's awesome. Where should I go next? And we pick five songs from the decade of the 80s because we're eventually going to do the 90s and so forth. But five essential songs from the 80s that we think someone discovering Night Ranger outside of the greatest hits should hear. Um, for those that don't know, the greatest hits has pretty much what we would expect now. If you have the cassette has 10 tracks, the CD has 12. Um, Off of Dawn Patrol, you got You Can Still Rock in America. Or sorry, off Dawn Patrol, you got Don't Tell Me You Love Me, Sing Me Away, and Eddie's Coming Out Tonight. Midnight Madness, Rockin' America, Rumors in the Air. Sister Christian, When You Close Your Eyes. Seven Wishes has Goodbye, Sentimental Street, and Four in the Morning. Big Life, Secret of My Success, and Man in Motion, Restless Kind. And then if you got the greatest hits that came out later, the Millennium Collection, pretty much the same thing, has one less song, and which is the less song is Rumors. They don't put Rumors on there. They do put Eddie. And they swap out Restless Kind with I Did It for Love. So we're basically taking those songs out of the scenario
Awesome.
and we're coming up with five songs that we deem essential for this person to listen to. And then at the end, we're going to do something a little different. We were talking, let's venture out sometimes outside the Night Ranger world. There's only so much we can talk about with Night Ranger. And we was like, well, let's just start it out easy. Let's give three essential albums we think everyone who likes, hard rock music should know or have in their collection or whatever from the 1980s. And obviously, if you were saying, hey, essentials, you would pick like Def Leppard, Hysteria, AC/DC, Back in Black. We wanted to go a little bit farther than that, a little bit deeper, um, and just pick maybe three of our favorite records from the 80s that we deem essential because we are experts. Right?
We
Is that
are.
right?
We are
So
experts.
that will be at the end. And I'm curious, I want you, everybody listening, to give us your list. It's one thing I was talking to Blades, it's not too long ago, and somehow that conversation came up where I was talking about the group and how it's interesting where let's say there's always been a song that I haven't gotten into, and you just assume, oh, it's not that great of song. Probably most people feel that way. And then with the Fans of Motion page and everybody posting their favorite songs, you see, oh, there's a good majority that like that song and here's something in it that I don't. So it'll be interesting to see what other people's five songs are going to be. Like I said, don't include anything from those greatest hits. And it's always interesting to to read those. So, Nadelman, we'll start with you. If you got to make this little mixtape, someone wanting to get into Night Ranger, some youngin' or something, what's one of the tracks you're putting on there?
Well, first of all, I'm gonna have to find a cassette player to make this tape for them
You
because
don't have one hooked up,
uh,
man? I got a double decker upstairs ready to go.
got the box pack of three TDK cassettes ready to go.
I got a pack of whatever, five. Yep, I came across, I don't know, thrift store or something. They had it unopened where the guy's like sitting in the chair or something and
Oh,
something's
that's
wrong.
Maxell.
All right, yeah, that's the one I got. So all right, so okay, let's not try to be so ancient. So you got the old CD burner going.
That's right.
What are you what's the first track you're digging out?
Well, the first track I'm digging out is the song Night Ranger off Dawn Patrol. Just because, well, first of all, the song is called Night Ranger, but it's a little different than a lot of their other songs where it goes, it starts off and then it has that little break and then it gets faster and faster. And I think for someone who's not doesn't know Night Ranger, this would be a good addition for them to hear.
And as far as I know, it's the only Night Ranger song that opens with animals, crickets, to be exact.
See, you learn something new every day here.
I mean, I could be wrong. Is there a monkey at the beginning? A monkey? I don't know. Um, there is a skip button. But so yeah, I mean, that was close to being on my list. Obviously, it's one of those songs that's classic. It's still in the set to this day. It's pretty much been in their set pretty much throughout their whole career. There was times where it fell out of the set, but definitely in the last 10, 15 years, it's been a staple. It's where the drum solo is, where all five of them get up there.
And I had to look. I had to make sure that for some reason I didn't know if that was on the greatest hits or not when I was making my list. I'm like, is that song on the greatest hits? And I had to look at the greatest hits just to verify that it wasn't on there because I thought that it was or
Well, and it's
should have
got that great guitar ending, kind of like Eddie,
been. Yeah.
where the dual guitars and they're just fucking wailing. Uh, so definitely a good pick. It was kind of on my list. It didn't quite cut it. And I'm not putting these in any order as
Yeah,
well.
neither am I.
I'm kind of maybe going chronologically, I guess. Um, one of the songs I would do off of Old Dawn Patrol is Call My Name. It is a song that's very different than what most Night Ranger is. Uh, but Night Ranger's got a lot of different sounds. I mean, you go from some stuff that's dark, like Night Ranger, Call My Name, to stuff that's poppy, Young Girl in Love, to stuff that's acoustic and serious, like Let Him Run, to um, just barn burners like, Touch of Madness, stuff like that. But
And it may be the only song of Night Rangers that there are sirens in it.
you might be right. Um,
Well, since you brought up the crickets, I thought I'd bring up the sirens. So
well, you could be correct. Now you got me thinking, is there something weird off of Seven or something? Um, but yes, there are sirens on at the end of Call My Name. So Call My Name, kind of a rock ballad, great solo. I'm pretty sure that's Jeff's solo in there. I think Brad does something at the end, and some of Jack's better lyrics. He sets a mood, and it sets that Dawn Patrol record. I mean, that record, it does kind of go up and down with, okay, we got something dark, something more pop rock, and it keeps that darkness there that I like. So, and I mean, one thing I think I've told the story before is I remember being at a bar that I used to work at, and I had that song playing, not while I was working, but while I was drinking. And a buddy of mine who is not into 80's Night Ranger stuff like that, he heard that song and he kind of asked, "What's this? This is good." And when I told him Night Ranger, he was kind of amazed. So, because he has in his head, every song's motoring or something like that. So, yeah. So my first track, "Call My Name." What do you got for number two there, Dave Nadelman?
Number two for me would be off Midnight Madness, the song Passion Play.
Ooh,
I just think it's
bow,
a different type of
bow,
song where it's kind of creepy intro, and it could almost be a movie soundtrack song.
bow, bow.
And it's one of those things. It's another story. It's just one of those.
Backstreet Ball, the sounds out there where music never stops and the sun never hangs around.
Didn't think I was
Uh,
going to get a karaoke bit, but that's okay. You're
you know
allowed
what?
it.
Very similar to "Call My Name" in the
Yeah,
sense that it,
yeah.
it's it's an outlier. Um, it doesn't quite. It's unique, and it's still a song that's deep in their repertoire, but you don't hear it too often. But I do remember they did pull it out at Wilmington, Ohio in 2023. I do know they played it there. I think Passion Play is it
It's a
Vickers
fan favorite
Dwayne?
too. It's a
Is
fan
it
favorite.
is it Vickers Dwayne that I think every time they're down in Texas, or maybe it's Lance, one of them always requests Passion Play and they'll
It's
try to
it's
play.
it's it's Dwayne. It's Dwayne. I've had the conversation with him when I met him.
Yeah,
Like I
so
was, I wanted to, I told the guys how come they don't play Passion Play anymore? How come
uh,
they probably don't allow him in any more shows because of that?
well, you got points with Vickers then. He will agree with you. Uh, and like I said, I love the beginning that it's that simple guitar and the drums kind of kicking it up, and they suddenly
It's like it's a foggy.
it's like you're like in the old west a little bit, walking down the street with your belt on. I don't know. So I mean, it's a game that'll take your breath away. What
It
what
will.
can
It
you,
is.
what can you say? My second song, staying with that record. And again, I kind of was in that same area on the record. I picked "Touch of Madness." If I could, I can't because the live record came out in 1990. To me, the definite version of "Touch of Madness" is off the Live in Japan, and mainly because of Brad just kicking ass at the end of that song. You get some of it on the record, but it's just another animal. So, if they just released the live record 1 year earlier, I would pick Touch of Madness from Live in Japan, but I can't. So I pick it um, off of the Midnight Madness record.
It's one of those songs that for every time that I saw them in the 80s, that was their opener.
Yeah.
And just they would come out with it punching and punch every time. And
Well,
I
I mean,
think for the new fan, they would
they've opened with it even in the 2000s and such. I'm not sure when the last time they opened with it, but it was an opener in the 2000s and in the 90s. Um, it's a cool song. It's got the little um
I can
what
never remember what
the
it is at
wind
the
the
beginning of that.
wind up,
Yeah,
ding
yeah.
ding 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 ding. And then slowly and if for those that remember, if not, go search it out. We had Eric Levy on the podcast once where Eric played some of his favorite Fitz riffs. And one thing that really jumped out was he started playing what he calls the spooky sounds that Fitz is playing underneath the verses. And I think, just as a fan, you constantly listen to Jack singing and you take that stuff in, but you don't, sometimes
You
focus
don't
on it
separate
enough.
it out. Yeah.
And now I can't listen to Touch of Madness during the verses without hearing Fitz playing the spooky sounds. But yeah, and Touch of Madness, they stole some of those lyrics from a Ranger song that they had called Diary of a Madman. Um, and the melody and stuff is not from that song, but the lyrics are. And I'm trying to think what I'm pulling it up now. What lyrics? Um, she's not. Is it not in some? She's not sentimental about her night's embrace. I think that's Lucky Night on the Town. Or no, maybe it's Changes by Night. It's a crime on the street. I don't fucking know. Go out there. It's on there. But some of those lyrics are pulled from a Ranger song called Diary of a Madman. Nothing to do with the Ozzy record. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think Touch of Madness is a good song that's not an outlier. It's this, if you wanted to pick a handful of songs like this is Night Ranger, that's one of them. So Call My Name and Touch of Madness are my one and two. Dave, what's your number three, buddy?
On my number three, and now that I'm looking at my list, I realize that I only, out of these five songs, I picked one from every album just because I wanted to give, but I didn't do that intentionally. So the next song is uh, another fan favorite, but something you normally wouldn't hear unless you were watching the movie Teachers, and that's Interstate Love Affair.
Interstate Love Affair.
But I would want the on this mix tape CD, I would want the version that's on the movie, not the one off of Seven Wishes. Is that a lot to ask? That's not a lot to ask, is it?
Well, so for those that don't know, uh, Interstate Love Affair, which is on Seven Wishes, was originally released on the Teachers soundtrack. Teachers being a movie with Nick Nolte and some others. Um, and um, I think the album was released maybe October of '83, or no, October of '84. And that album came out before the Seven Wishes record and had basically an unreleased Night Ranger track, a new track, Interstate Love Affair. And I will say they re-recorded it for Seven Wishes. It's not a different mix. It's a different recording, or
Okay.
at least some big parts. The solos are different. Kelly's vocals are different. If you know the Seven Wishes version by heart, and someone plays you the teacher's version, you will know a difference. And I would say the teacher's version is a little bit more raw, not as produced maybe. Um, but yeah, I mean, what's your reasoning for picking that?
Well, it's one of those songs that sounds like it should be on a greatest hits album because it's got that typical Night Ranger sound. Um, but unless you saw the movie or if you owned a copy, unless you owned a copy of Seven Wishes, you wouldn't know it existed. And people that you give this mixtape to be like, well, that song's somewhat familiar, and they could be thinking back to the movie, but it's a great song that will reintroduce their sound.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, it's a song that in previous podcast I have mentioned as something being added to the set. It's got the dual guitars, a great Kelly vocal. Um, we talk about the band and stuff and what they know or don't know. And I just remember one time talking to Jack, and somehow that song came up, and he's like, did we put that on a record?" And I was like, because we were maybe talking about the teacher soundtrack or something. And I was like, "Yeah, it was on Seven Wishes." Like he didn't know. You know, I get asked that a lot. What album is that one on? Or what's on that album? But yeah, so that tells you where it's at in Jack's head. But it's something that I've told this story before where we were in Marietta, Ohio, 2023. Um, they were getting ready to do sound check. I watched a couple songs. It was a beautiful day out, summer. I love the city of Marietta. I'm going to go take a walk. So I leave sound check and I'm taking a walk down around the city. And Ed Repepi sends me a text message. Where are you? I'm taking a walk. And next thing I know, I get a video of
of them doing
them
that song in
of
soundcheck.
them doing that song. I was like, God damn it. Uh, and it's one of those songs I introduced Ed to, and now it's one of his favorites. Um, yeah, so it's definitely, has that great Kelly vocal. It has the great guitars in it. Uh, it's definitely one of my favorites, but I didn't put it on my list. My list for number three stays with the same record, stays with the same vocalist, Kelly Kagi. Um, but I chose Faces.
Phenomenal song.
Um, it's it's to me, it's got, I mean, it's a great song. It feels a little, not in a bad way. To me, that song feels like 1985. You know what I mean? Like
It's a
I
little
don't.
dark too. It's a little dark song. It's a little bit dark.
Well, I think I don't want to say it if if the conversation was private. I thought on the podcast he talked about the lyrics. The lyrics are meaningful to him. Um, for those that don't know, Kelly's been on 4 or 5 times. We've talked about a lot of the early career and the first couple of records. I thought he brought that up. Um, but yeah, it's got very personal lyrics. It's got a great Kelly vocal. It's got the verses are real melodic, but then it gets like little heavy parts. And Brad's solo is fucking phenomenal. I mean, it's one of my favorite solos. Uh, and like I said, it kind of just feels like 1985 to where, okay, Call My Name is a little darker. Touch of Madness is like 80's rock, but Night Ranger was also built on 80's pop, stainless steel, and I just felt that is a song that kind of, not really, kind of does encapsulate that. So yeah, I mean, fucking can't go wrong. So same record, same singer, Kelly Kagi in Faces. So what do you guys think so far? There's someone out there going, how the fuck
How the fuck did they put that on the?
they passing up this and that? Because I think right now, I think we're both going in chronological order. There's no more from uh Dawn Patrol, Midnight Madness, and Seven Wishes. So yeah, you're out to people out there. How the fuck do you not put Why Does Love Have to Change? How the hell are you not putting, At Night She Sleeps? Seven Wishes. Come on, how great is that? You know? Mm, So, all right, we're closing it out. Track four. What do you think's essential there, Dave Nadelman?
I think track four essential, and the only reason why I think it's essential is because it's a little different. It shows a different side of Night Ranger, and that is off the Big Life album, Rain Comes Crashing Down. It's more like kind of an opera-ish song. It's slow and pig it's once again one of those songs that you play this song for somebody and they'll be like, "Who is that?" And you'll be like, "That's Night Ranger." And they're not going to expect that. So it just gives a little more well-roundedness to the whole band of stuff outside of the greatest hits.
And I think it's the second song in the 80s that starts with some weather. Because rain comes crashing down, you got the rain, you
Hmm.
got the thunderstorm. What's the other song, buddy?
Doesn't Passion Play have that wind in the
It
beginning?
does.
There we
Oh,
go.
look
Okay.
at you, you fucking nerd. God,
Yep, that's it.
fucking nerd. You should be on the Night Ranger podcast.
I should be.
Uh, yeah. I will say, I mean, I like the song, but it insists upon itself. It insists upon itself. And to me, uh, I think over time, it's one of those songs I don't hold as high regard as I once did. I think Night Ranger's the same way. I remember there was an interview somewhere, and I can't remember if it was with Jack. I want to say it was with someone else, and they were talking about going into the studio while they were recording Big Life, and Jack couldn't wait for them to hear Rain Comes Crashing Down. So, the band was really into it at one time. I mean, I still enjoy. I mean, that was the one record that I was kind of pushing out there, throwing out little nuggets
For the
for
symphony.
for the symphony. I thought that was perfect for the symphony. It had never been on a live record, never really been played live outside of that tour. And yeah, so but with me now, it's just like, yeah, it's all right. I like it.
But
Um,
if you're giving this tape to somebody who wants to know more about Night Ranger, you're giving them something completely different with each one of the songs that we both picked. I mean,
yeah,
you're not picking all
I
hard
mean,
rock stuff and
there's definitely some, I mean, it's definitely not the worst choice. It's like, I guess where I'm getting at is I used to, if it was, I used to think it was De Clem da Clem all the way up here. No, now it's down a little bit. Um, Still a good song. I don't know. I just think maybe there's just so much on Big Life that to me just isn't Night Ranger. That it's been spoiled a little bit, but I'll catch some shit for that. It's better than Color Your
I don't
Smile.
it's not it wasn't their best effort, but it was still a great album. It just I don't really hold many songs from that album in the highest regard.
It's a
And I'm
good
gonna get
record.
some shit for that.
I mean, it's
But then
okay.
you got the fans that's an essential
Yeah,
record for them.
but it
It's
you know
lackluster.
yeah, I don't know. Anyways,
Anyway,
rain comes crashing down.
we're not here to discuss that.
And on that note, I mean, I totally just skip that record and I go straight to the Man in Motion record with what I've always considered the sister song to When You Close Your Eyes. If this song had just been released a couple years earlier, I think it would have been maybe not like a top 20 hit, but it would have been a good hit to follow up a top 20 song if this was on Seven Wishes or something. Don't start thinking I'm alone tonight. Um, yeah, I mean, after Big Life, though Man in Motion has some misses, to me it was a return. I won't say a return to, some people are like, it's a return to their original sound. No, but it was more towards a rocking sound. I mean, uh, and or that Night Ranger melodic sound, which again is "Don't Start Thinking I'm Alone Tonight." Um, yeah, I mean, it has the only thing I wish it had is when you close your eyes, where you have those two lines Kelly sings going right into the chorus. I wish there was something like that with Kelly. Um, I just always love when those two have something together. And I mean, I think that's what a great part of Close Your Eyes is. That's the only thing I wish it had, but um, that record or that song was released, I think, as either, I think it was the third single. If not, it was the second single. Didn't do much. I don't even know if it charted. uh,
I don't even remember that being a single.
there's no video for it. It was, I think it was the second single because it was released commercially on 45. So you can find it, commercial as a 45. Reason to be, there are, I don't think there's a 45 out there of it, but there is a Japanese CD single of it, the mini CD. Um, and there is advertisements of it being a single, but yeah, Don't Start Thinking I'm Alone Tonight was released, as a 45. It didn't sell much. It's actually easier to find a promo copy of that 45 than it actually is to find a stock copy. But
Of the whole album, too.
yes, exactly. Usually anything, either 88 on, or if it's in the height of vinyl, if it didn't sell well. So if you're looking for some obscure album that no one bought back then, there's hardly any stock copies out. They got returned and destroyed to where um, promo copies, they sent a shit ton out for promos, and those are still out. I can name, there's a good amount of those records out there. Uh, but don't start thinking I'm alone tonight. They need to add that one to the set. They won't. It's fine. I'll live. But when they do, I got some
Will
Bible
you?
on them. All right. So the last song, Dave. What are you picking, buddy?
Well, the last song is a song you've just mentioned recently, and it's off that same album, and it's Reason to Be. I think you introduced that to someone that's never heard Night Ranger other than the greatest hits. You got that acoustic starting, and then it just punches right in.
And you got the great Kelly Kagi vocal.
And you got the great Kelly Kagi vocal. I've always loved that song. Uh, that probably was my favorite song when the album came out. I listened to it the whole the first time, and I'm like, let me rewind and listen to that again. But just I love that, the acoustic beginning, and then it just punches.
Well, I mean, everyone's got a reason to be, and um, I guess your
You need a
reason to
reason.
be is that song. Uh,
They
I
did
was
play it. I did see
Yes,
one show that they sort of played it live. They played it acoustic, but they only played the beginning of it, and then they just drifted out. So
yeah, they have done that at a few shows. I think they did it to Ryman. I could be wrong. I know they did it at the show after um, the orchestra show. They've done it at a few others. They did it in Bristol a couple years ago when they did the last acoustic show that I know of. Yeah, so and when they do it, they usually do kind of like the first part, and then where it would get heavy, they just kind of do the chorus acoustic as well. It's the one song that they touch off of Man in Motion.
that is true.
I don't know. They did that song on the Dawn of Madness tour. I can't remember how they did it, if it was acoustic like it is now, or if they did any electric to it. Someone will have to leave a comment somewhere and let us know. But good representation off of Man in Motion. I was either going to go with that song And at the very end, I decided to go with another song off Man in Motion. So this album gets two from me, and that is the song Halfway to the Sun. Uh, you know, it starts out as Unskinny Bop
True.
by Poison, um, but quickly morphs into something else. It's almost like a mini rock opera. I mean, this the solos they do, I think that goes on for like 2 minutes,
Yeah.
and the opening guitars are fucking awesome. And to me, it's like, okay, here is Night Ranger on full throttle. Kind of where Touch of Madness is, but just a little bit of overdrive, and that is some of the best Night Ranger, in my
Just
opinion.
the lead into the solos. There's that one. Is the lead into the solo or after the solo? No, it's to the solos.
Well, they do some, guitar stuff, and then it kind of dies down, dun 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 dun, and it builds back up. It's got
Yeah.
all the dramatic shit that you need to take you, and it's got, them harmonizing guitars, and then it's got them each doing their own thing. Uh, so
It's
yeah,
like all of Night Ranger in one song.
yeah. I mean, it's I think the only thing I think I touched on all the things I want to, which is, Kelly's vocals, Jack's songwriting, you know, Jeff and Brad's playing, fits is dynamic into the song, especially in Touch of Madness. Um, so there you go. Let us know um, how much you agree or disagree and post your five. There's going to be a lot of people upset that we didn't put Color Your Smile. I know that's a fan favorite in there. Seven Wishes, I think, will pop up as well as being one that was missed, and Hearts Away, I think, will be mentioned as well. Big Life could have been there. That was a decent song, rock and song, but just think a couple of them are better. So again, my list: Call My Name, Touch of Madness, Faces, Don't Stop Thinking I'm Alone Tonight. Oh no. And Halfway to the Sun.
And my list: Night Ranger, the song, Passion Play, Interstate Love Affair, the teacher's soundtrack version, of course. Uh, Rain Comes Crashing Down off of Big Life, and Reason to Be off of Man in Motion.
There you go, folks.
So
Give us your five, and give us a little feedback. How great my list is, and how,
shitty mine was.
yeah, except for Reason to Be.
Okay.
So
All
there
right.
you go. There's our, and we're going to do a decade of the '90s, and we'll do the later albums as well. So, like I said, we want to start venturing off a little bit, coming up with other things to talk about. We're in, like, I don't know how many episodes, 180, and we got a lot of Night Ranger stuff coming up. But every now and then, hey, let's freshen it up a little bit. Go off the side road. Um, so we decided, hey, three essential records to us from the '80s, and I don't know what Dave picked. I don't know what his criteria is, but I picked mine, and mine are kind of a little bit everywhere in the rock genre. I got like heavy metal to, 80s hair rock to, traditional, just straight up rock. Um, so I'll start with this record here. This is Iron Maiden Killers. I think a lot of people, when they talk 80s Iron Maiden, you start with Number of the Beast,
Power
um,
Slave.
Power Slave, which is my other favorite. What's the other one? That's escaped by my Pieces in Time. Is that right? No, that's Somewhere in Time. What's the album right after? Number of the Beast, where he's in the um he's in the straitjacket and he's chained up. I will
He's
tell you
uh,
tell you in a second. I have to look it up because I'm getting old. Peace of Mind.
yeah,
Um, so I think when people, you go there with Maiden, you think Bruce Dickinson, Number of the Beast, Power Slave, um, even Seventh Son of a Seventh Son was a huge record, Peace of Mind. But this record, one of my favorites, Killers, the second album and the last record they did with Paul Di'Anno. Uh, if you're listening to like greatest hits, and you got Run to the Hills and stuff like that. Number of the Beast.
the
A little
Trooper.
bit different record. Um, yeah, I love, Pieces High and all that stuff. But it has that elements of Maiden, but it's got a little bit more grit. I won't say punk, but it's a little less confined and operatic as the Bruce Dickinson stuff. And this was a CD I had in my garage for like 3 years. I just never took it out. It was covered. The CD player was covered with shit, and so for 3 years it's all. Now it's Power Slave in there, but so Paul Di'Anno. I think this is Adrian Smith's first record. Steve Harris, Dave Murray, and then Clive Burr was still the drummer then. But um, yeah. So if you're a Maiden fan, a heavy metal fan, let's say you're more into new metal, and you're not into Maiden. First of all, why you're not into Maiden? But if not, this is definitely one to get. I Wrathchild, probably one of my favorites. Um, fuck, I don't know. I mean, Killers is good. Now, are you a Maiden fan at all?
I am a casual Maiden fan,
Um, I've probably got more into Maiden as I've got like the more I get older, the more I've gotten into Maiden. Um, when I was a kid, Maiden was cool to get the posters at the fair and stuff. And I think I had Seventh Son of a Seventh Son.
which which is my favorite album cover by them, by the way. With
Yeah,
holding the heart with the guy trying to get out. Oh, that right there is just epic.
yeah. I mean, my favorite record's Power Slave. I kind of drifted out with them, in the late 80s, 90s. I did get into their album they released back with Bruce Dickinson in 2000. With the Eddie's in the Clouds. What the fuck's that record called? Brave New World. And that was like, holy shit. That was one of the first records when these bands were getting back together and they would start recording records. Like some of them were just okay. I mean, Neverland was good. Seven was good. I was happy with those. But like, the Warrants and Cinderella, all these bands that were getting back together, kind of putting out records. Motley Crue, like New Tattoo, Generation Swine. When I heard Brave New World, I was like, oh shit, this is Maiden. That's one thing I do remember about when they got back together. And I've tried to. That's one thing about Maiden is they have kept pumping out studio records,
Oh yeah.
and they've all been pretty much good. I mean, there's been a couple that have been a little bit duds. There's been some dud songs, but overall, what they've done in the last 20 years is pretty phenomenal. Kind of like Night Ranger, where they've had some of their best stuff. And what's really interesting about Maiden, one, if you've never seen Maiden, you got to go see them. All right, even if you're not a Maiden fan, you got to go. But um, where the fuck was I going? Man, I hate getting old. Uh, um, Fuck, I don't fucking know what the fuck I was gonna.
If
Was
you never saw it live, you were saying, and you
well,
you
yeah,
don't
I
know
know.
what.
I was saying I went to you got to go see him, but um, fuck, I don't know, man. I don't know. It'll come to me.
I saw them in 2019, which was the
Legacy of the Beast.
yes.
Oh, here's what I was going to say. What was unique about them doing live is so in the '90s, they released a couple of records with a different singer, Blaze Bailey. Usually, when you get do an album with another singer and your original singer, which in this case Bruce Dickinson's not the original, but you're the one you made headlines with, comes back, you don't touch anything off those other records, and there's still a couple songs from those records of Blaze Bailey that they do live, and they're from they're songs that um he didn't record originally, but they are uh you know, Bruce Dickinson liked him enough. Like, I don't give a shit who sang it. We're going to do it. I want to say Sign of the Cross, maybe off of, I can't, X Factor or something like that, is one. But, anyways, that's something unique to Maiden. But, yeah, Bruce Dickinson, Maiden, a lot of people don't, know, but I think like the Paul Di'Anno Maiden's kind of been kind of overlooked. And unfortunately, Paul Di'Anno just passed away, I think, either this year or last year.
Yeah, I think it was
Um,
last year.
so there's my number one essential 80's record you need to fucking pick up. What do you got?
What do I got?
What do
I
you got?
got a record that, first of all, it's a very personal record to me because if
Olivia Newton-John, Physical.
that I had that on my list and I chose this one over it. So
Uh,
this was an album that if I didn't hear this album or if I this brought me into hard rock. This is the album that brought me into hard rock. Once I heard, first of all, the single, and then I heard the rest of the album, I was like, this is fantastic. It is fantastic. It is Def Leppard's Pyromania, an essential album. So
definitely, definitely. I mean, what's crazy is I mean, you could pick that, what's that is an essential album, yet they have a more essential album.
yeah, yeah, no, but
Uh,
that's true.
that's just crazy that, I mean, just, and beyond that, the two albums before that are pretty good fucking records. So,
So just
Pyromania.
Pyromania. So what the first time I heard Photograph and the first time I saw the video for Photograph, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And every other song, the Rock of Ages, the Rock Till You Drop, Stage Fright, the song Stage Fright. Ugh, it's insane what they incorporated that as a live song. Billy's
Well,
Got a Gun.
and I mean, Too Late for Love,
Yes.
very unique song. I mean, it doesn't have that traditional 80's cheese feel. I mean, it's a little bit darker, a little bit, you know, it's a little bit different. I always liked that song, um and definitely Pyromania was right at the kickoff of all this. I mean, if you look at that whole genre of music as a football game, this is, you know, the first drive.
Yeah.
May not be kickoff, but this is the first drive in the first quarter. Um,
I
yeah,
mean,
I mean,
this album made them take the world by storm, even though the album after it just skyrocketed them out of control. But it's just a
well, that's a
good record, and
picking Mutt
it's
Lang.
and if you're looking at artwork from an album's point of view, like Iron Maiden, it is, I mean, just it's a great album. It's an album that's not meant to be looked at on a little CD case. It's an
Yeah,
album that you want to look at on vinyl.
definitely. My favorite
Just like any other Iron Maiden album, first of all, but
my Def Leppard story like happens right after that record when they go to start doing demos for Hysteria. And for some reason, I don't think Mutt Lange was available. So they always liked the sound of the Meatloaf record, right? So Bad Out of Hell. So who do they bring in to produce the record but Jim Steinman, the guy that wrote all those great Meatloaf songs? But he didn't produce that record. They didn't know. They said, "Oh, we love the sound of that record, Jim Steinman. Yeah, let's bring him in." I guess it was just fucking chaos because they didn't know that Todd Rundgren had produced that record, and basically they had to shelve all those demos, wait for Mutt to come back, and then I think somewhere in there they had the injury to Rick Allen or something,
That was after that.
they got like that's some of the unreleased stuff that is out there in their vault is the stuff they did with Jim Steinman. So my second essential record, kind of going along with the Iron Maiden thing, where I'm taking like a big established brand and kind of highlighting an album that gets overlooked. This record right here, Bruce Springsteen,
Tunnel of Love.
Tunnel of Love. Two things. One, I mean, most people, when you think of 80s Bruce Springsteen, you think of Born in the
Born in the
USA.
USA.
If you're trying to be cool, you mention Nebraska. If you know what you're talking about, you mentioned The River, came out in 1980. But this record, it's weird. Just one, this is a great record. To me, this is his best record. Two, it's weird because Tunnel of Love is the name of the record. There's a song on there called Tunnel of Love, which was the one of the singles. And to me, that's the worst song. It's like
I don't agree with you there.
you picked the worst song to be the title song. But I just remember as a kid, you got to remember, I'm 10 years old when this record comes out. So at this time, Born in the USA had been out for 3 years. That seems like forever to me. But I loved the video, Dancing in the Dark, all that shit, right? For a 7, 8, 9 year old kid, that stuff's awesome. And then I just remember the video for Brilliant Disguise comes out. And he's just sitting there with a guitar playing.
Yep.
And I'm like, this is boring as fuck. And now it's one of the greatest songs ever fucking written.
It's one of those songs that you didn't really, well, I didn't really even appreciate or think about. I was like, oh, all right, all right. I mean, I loved Tunnel of Love at the time. I loved it. Brilliant Disguise to me was kind of boring, but then like later years, I'm like, I go back to it. I'm like, what the hell was I thinking as a punk ass kid? This song is fantastic.
And I mean, lyrically, I mean, I'm not a big lyrics guy, but lyrically, Bruce Springsteen to me has some of the best lyrics. Now, Tunnel of Love, I love the line where he talks about being in line at the amusement park with his girlfriend, and I hand him my money as his eyes take a walk all over you, something like that. But, anyways, Tunnel of Love or Brilliant Disguise, one of the best songs out there. Lyrically, you just gotta pull up the lyrics and, but Tougher Than the Rest, fucking phenomenal song. Spare Parts, Cautious Man, Two Faces. I mean, God, that's a killer song. Right before Brilliant Disguise, One Step Up. Um, so it's like this album seems to get overlooked, and to me, it's like whenever anyone talks Springsteen, I'm like this fucking record. So there you go,
And when was that release? Was that in 87?
87. Yep. So what? Born USA was 84, 83.
84. Because he tore the shit out of it in 85.
Yeah. So I mean, I mean, and back then, I mean, for 3 years not to be a record, was a long time in the 80s. I mean, Night Ranger's putting out one every year or 18 months, and Kiss is putting out one every year. I mean, these bands, if you put one out every 2 years, you were taking your damn time. So I just remember it was a big deal that, fuck, he hasn't had an album out for over 3.5 years or so. And, um,
And I
so,
don't think it did well. I mean, did it? I
well, I
don't think
mean, it's one
it
of
did
those
well.
things, it's one of those things where if Born in the USA sold 12 million and this only sold five,
relative
is it a
title.
success? Um, so yeah, is it? But yeah, it is in my book. What's your number two?
My number two is the reason why I think this album is essential. It kind of,
Well, hold on. Bay City Rollers is 70's. I said 80's.
oh, gotcha. Hold on. Just Bay City
God
Rollers.
damn it, Dave. Get with the program here.
So this album was kind of like a changing of the guard. And I'll say it, people may agree with the changing of the guard being good, bad. They think the old guard was better than the new guard. And it's Van Halen 5150. A totally different Van Halen. So whether you're pro Sammy, pro Dave, this was a clear changing of the guard, which you really never really had in any other band. I mean, not that I can think of, where the
There was a
sound was so different.
Well, yeah. So you're when you say changing of the guard, are you meaning the sound?
The sound,
Okay.
the sound. Yeah, sorry, the sound. The band overall. I mean, the band, what was it? Their first number one record, 5150 might have been. But
Well, yeah, because I think 1984 got stuck with Michael Jackson
Michael
or
Jackson's
something like that.
Thriller, yeah, beat it. Um, and the sound being different, which is what I think turned a lot of people off. People wanted their old Van Halen sound, and
Well, I
this was
think it
not it.
turned a lot of people on too. Uh,
Yes, yes, yes. It turned the diehards, turned some of the diehards.
hmm.
They looked away for a little bit. They went to look somewhere else. But you can't doubt how fantastic this album is from front to back, with the exception of probably one song on it. Um, and then this led to the rest of the rest of their
Yeah,
80s into
90's.
90s run. Um,
Yeah. I mean, I was
Great
trying.
album cover. Once again, another great album cover, but uh, and it was hard to find this record for a while. You had to pay some big bucks if you, I mean, now if you wanted to find this record until they re-released the entire
Box set.
box set. It was an expensive album to come across if you wanted it, if you wanted an OG version, first of all.
You
Best of Both Worlds, Get Up, Summer Nights is the song Summer Nights.
Mhm.
That is probably the most underrated song of the Van Halen career.
What's the last song? Inside? Is it inside
Inside
on
is
the inside?
almost that's the song I was referring to when when I was saying that it's a perfect album except for that song.
I like it. Da, 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 on the outside or whatever. But yeah, I mean, so a few things with that record. Uh, I was going to say, well, you know what? Talking about some of these 80's records, I'm talking from a different perspective because, I graduated in 1995. Yeah, I was a kid and I experienced some of this stuff. But then I was like, you know what? I had my aunts get me, when I picked out some records, I wanted 1984 when I was 7 years old. I got that for Christmas. So, you know what? Fuck. I was a Van Halen fan when Roth was there. I do remember this. I remember one of my aunts had the Roth poster in her room where he's looking into the mirror and his ass is showing or some shit. I do remember that. I do remember when they said one of my aunts said something about him not being in Van Halen anymore. And I don't know why I remember. I just remember thinking or saying, how can Van Halen not be in Van Halen? Like to me, he was Van Halen.
Right.
Um, Now obviously I'm a little bit older. I'm not 6 when that comes out. I'm 9 when 5150 comes out. I knew of Sammy Hagar because I thought I Can't Drive 55 was a cool song. So I knew of Sammy. But, to know what all my other friends thought, none of my other friends, were listening to shit. So I don't know how all that went down. I do know how it went down, later. But with with that, I just remember that was such big news. Like even me as a 8-year old and a 9-year old, like when that came out with that record, what's it going to sound like? And I think I'm pretty sure, like, I still remember the first single was Best of Both Worlds. Am I
The
right?
first single was not Best of Both Worlds.
That might be the one I just remember here. I thought, well, let's do a little. We got a Google
You
machine
might
here.
be right. You might be right.
Charts. Does it give me chart information? Does it give me singles? Um, blah 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 blah. Um,
No, Why Can't This Be Love was the first single. Or am I on the wrong album?
no, that's the same record.
That was the first single for sure.
You'd think this would be easy to find. Um, you're right. So why
Yeah.
can't, God damn, Best of Both Worlds was the last one. I must have been taking a nap. Uh, you know what though? I was going to say something about Love Walks In, like well, maybe it was that one. So I must not have heard those, or but the songs I remember hearing was, but they released these quick. March of
Yeah.
'86 was Why Can't This Be Love. 2 months later was Dreams. 2 months later was Love Walks In. By October, so 6 months later, they had already released Best of Both Worlds. So like they were just slamming out those singles. So it's not like some records where they over 18 months. They did this all in 6 months. So okay. But the two songs I remember, Best of Both Worlds and Love Walks In. Those are the two that I remember as being a 9-year-old kid and hearing for the first time. Um, Why Can't This Be Love? Probably one of the greatest songs they did. One of my favorites. But you are right. I mean, even the songs that aren't your singles, Good Enough,
Good enough.
Get
Yeah.
Up.
Get up.
Um, I mean, a song that I think is great is the 5150.
Oh,
Um,
I think that's the best song on the album.
and Summer Nights was a song, one of the last songs that they had worked with Roth. So that's a holdover from the Roth era. Now, they didn't have the lyrics, I don't think, but, I think that's all Sammy. But that was one, I think that was the first song that maybe they worked on, because they had worked that music up and then Sammy did
Right.
what he did. Um, yeah, I mean, I always said this album wise, like if I got to listen to an album, it's all Roth. The albums are phenomenal, but individual songs, there's Hagar songs that are usually all my favorites. Album wise, now this to me is this and Balance was their best records with Hagar. Album wise, I'm not a big OU812 fan. I think for an Unlawful Carnal Knowledge is very top heavy. Um, I don't think those are like for an album. I don't think those are that great. But 5150 and Balance. So good call there. My last record that I kind of consider essential, again, all over the place. This came out right at the end of um, the 80's. A band that had a real good streak of records. And they're a band that I would always try to go see at, clubs here in the last 10, 15 years. They kind of toured still, played little bars, and I like, fuck it, I'm gonna go see them. And this record to me, all the way through, there was really only one song that I thought was kind of but the other songs I thought were all phenomenal. And it's this record right here,
LA Guns.
LA Guns, Cocked and Loaded. I think I got this signed by Steve Riley and Phil Lewis. But
It's that got
yes,
Never Enough on it?
huh?
It's Never Enough on that album?
Never Enough. Great. If you're a Night Ranger fan, you'll like Never Enough. Very kind of stainless steel rock. I mean, but they've got a lot of the grittier type rock obviously on there as well. But it's a unique album. Like the first song, Letting Go, is only a minute 22, and it just morphs right into the second song. But it's got songs that you probably remember "Rip and Tear," which is just straight up rock. Um, "Ballad of Jane," which was the big
Hmm.
ballad off that record. But like "Never Enough," such a great song. There's songs that are just a little bit different and darker. "Malaria." There's songs that have a little bit more pop, like "Magdalene." Um, 17 Crash is a straight up rocker. "Wheels of Fire," "I Want to Be Your Man." It was just a great rock record that to me I still go back to. There's a lot of records that my 13-year-old ears loved, my 19-year old ears loved, but now as when I'm in my 40s, going on my 50s, I don't hear it the same. It's kind of decreased some. This here, doesn't really have that. There was only one song I never really liked, and that was "Sleazy Come Easy Go." That was the one song I was like, but "Never Enough," very cool song, very good album, just, straight up rock record. So there you go, LA Guns, "Cocked and Loaded." What's your final record there, Nadelman?
My final record is a record that belongs in every single human being's essential record list. I don't have the record to show. That
I'm
pisses me off.
scared. Scared. Whitney Houston?
No. Close though. Very close. Very, very close. It is Queensryche, Operation Mindcrime. Why are you shaking your head?
I don't mind a little Queensryche,
You're
but
you're 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 a little anti-Queensryche, aren't you?
well, listen, like I said, I don't like polished vocals all that much, and I don't want a social studies lesson. You know, I'm out there rocking, and then
It is
the
without a
gross
doubt my
the gross
all-time.
national product in 2023.
It's a rock opera. It's a rock opera. It's not an album. It's one
I
song.
do know what's the singer's name?
Jeff Tate.
That motherfucker's milking that fucking record. He's,
It's.
yeah. This is the final time I'm doing Operation Mindcrime again.
I mean, it's. I've seen it live. I've seen it performed live in its entirety quite a few times. And they reproduce it on stage. It's not like it's,
Mm,
jazzed up. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of in the background they have stuff going on, but it's a great story. It's a
yeah.
story.
It again, all my friends like that band. I mean, I hated Silent Lucidity. I still don't like it, I think. But when it was out, I mean, MTV played all the fucking time. I did not like it, you know. Um,
Well, that was a big album for them, but it was far from their best album.
but just I mean, I don't mind some of the song. Again, I never, it's kind of like just too polished. I don't know. Like, for some reason, like to me, like Dawkins, I should like Dawkins, with the music I like, but I don't know, something about Dawkins. I just never got into that. But yeah, I've never quite got the Queen's right thing. But I mean, obviously, I'm
Discussion topic.
I'm wrong because there's a lot of people that do. But I did see Queensryche for the first time opening for Judas Priest a couple years ago. Um,
But that's with
yeah,
the tour.
the new guy or whatever.
Yeah.
Uh,
Actually, he's probably been there a good decade already.
Probably more than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then and Brad played on a Queensryche record. Um, what album? I'm trying to think. Is it Jeff Tate doing like Queensryche? Like, didn't they both have the name for a hot
Yes.
minute?
Yes.
So I think it was like Jeff Tate's Queensryche. Brad Gillis uh, played on one of those records. Let's take a gander here. Brad Gillis, Queensryche.
I mean,
Uh,
I think it's an essential album just because, and you look at many people and you'll ask them what their favorite album is of the 80's, and you know, they'll say that album. I mean, it's
and I mean, and Jeff Tate and Queensryche are able to tour pretty well still. And you're talking about a band that's more dysfunctional than most. I mean, go read about this band and you'll see how dysfunctional they are. And like the Queensryche, really like the guys that are left in Queensryche were probably the two most boringest guys in the group. You know, the other guitar player and the bass
The
player.
bass player. Yeah.
You know, I mean, that band was Jeff Tate, DeGarmo, or whatever his name is, and Rockenfell, or
Hot
whatever,
Rocket Field.
the drummer. And, Chris DeGarmo, he got out fucking early, in the early 2000s. Like, I want to go fucking become an airline pilot. And, and then the drummer has had issue. I mean, it's all over the place. But, um, new
Well,
album.
I have seen Jeff Tate recently in the last 5 years or so, solo. He's still got the voice.
Yeah.
At least he did 3 or 4, was it 4 or 5 years ago when I saw them?
So this is from February of 13. Night Ranger guitarist Brad Gillis has recorded a guest solo on a track on the new album from the Jeff Tate fronted version of Queensryche, due out later this year. Blah 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 blah. The band at this time consisted of Rudy Sarzo. So there you go. Um, but there you go. You'll go Google and do a little research, and you'll find whatever song that was, that Brad played with on Queensryche. So there you go. Iron Maiden Killers, LA Guns, Cocked and Loaded, and Bruce Springsteen, Tunnel of Love. And Dave,
Def Leppard, Pyromania.
never heard it.
Never heard of it. Uh, Queensryche, Operation Mindcrime, and Van Halen 5150.
And 5150 is the police code for criminally insane or some shit. So, and
So that makes sense on this podcast.
yeah. All right, there we go. So, hey, if you're out there listening, give us your five essential non-greatest hits Night Ranger tracks from the 80s. Give us some of your essential records. Like I said, they don't have to be big ones. Just what is something essential to you record-wise, album-wise, from the 80s. If you're wherever you're listening to this, if it's on YouTube, hey, hit that thumbs up. That little thumbs up thing, it don't take no effort. Hit that thumbs up, hit subscribe. If you're on the Spotify's and all that other nonsense, subscribe and like and whatever the fuck else you got to do. Show us some love. Um, let us know like what other type things we can do, like albums, singles. You know, maybe we look at a year and pick three albums. I don't know. Give us some feedback, yo. And listen, Fans of Motion Headquarters Central, Facebook. Go to your Facebook, type in Fans of Motion Night Ranger, find the group, click join. I will approve you, get you in there. Fans of Motion Fest, Film Fest in October. Be there, be square. Night Ranger, October 2nd. Fort Wayne Film Fest the next night, October 3rd, at the Fort Wayne Hilton. It's going to be a good time. Dave has been practicing his table dancing and balancing
Pretty
on
good at it.
the.
I'm actually pretty good at it right now.
Well, I mean, some people are just born with it. And
The skill.
there you go. All right. Well, Florida Man, tell all your fans goodbye and that you will see them again.
Later, people.